everyone, so welcome to today's video. Thanks for joining me. Today we're doing a video on hard candy. I have been doing the drugstore series where I'm doing one brand videos, and hard candy was one of the brands that was requested several times over. I have purchased quite a bit from this brand. You can get them in store at Walmart online, and you can order a select amount of their products on the hard candy website. I'm going to link the products that I'm going to feature in today's video in the description box in case you would like to try some of them for yourself. But today I thought I would do a full face, or almost a full face. There are a few products that I do not have part of the hard candy line that is available at Walmart or online. I did not purchase, and we'll get into it as we get to those parts of my routine. I have already done my skincare, skin prep, and I've done a little bit of a tinted brow product in my brows to get them a little bit more groomed and just a little bit more put together. I've got my hair pinned back and ready to go. So we are going to get started, and we're going to focus on the complexion first. I don't have the hard candy foundation. I could not find a match that I felt like would be pretty close to my skin tone. And if you have been following me for some time, you probably already noticed that my skin is actually darker. I just recently got back from vacation, and none of the foundations that I own currently match, except for one that I think might work. So I'm going to sub that in for today's video. But I don't have the foundation that's in the hard candy line. I believe it's called the Glamouflage. There's a foundation and a concealer. The concealers were kind of out of stock on the Walmart website, and I didn't really see many in store at the Walmart that I went to. So I don't know if they're phasing it out, repackaging, reformulating. The same thing with the foundation. I couldn't find a match, and I did read some reviews, and some of the reviews were kind of a little off-putting personally for me. So I decided that I wasn't going to try their foundation and concealer, but I did pick up one of their primers, the Sheer Envy Hydrating Primer. This is supposed to be a makeup grip primer that moisturizes and perfects. So I'm going to use this as a base for my foundation. The consistency of this hydrating primer is very jelly-like, and it reminds me a lot of the Jelly Pop primer from e.l.f. This one has just a very slight, very slight green tint to it, but it's not very noticeable. It looks almost clear, but it is very jelly, and it looks like it's going to be one of those really sticky, kind of tacky primers, which is great for keeping the makeup locked in place all day long. You can actually see, do you see that? It's like so sticky and kind of stringy and a little weird, but there might be something to it. I think the e.l.f. Primer grip is kind of similar to that sort of sticky, tacky feel. So I'm going to focus this in the areas where I have more oil production. So over the nose, where I have larger pores, the chin area, right through the center of the forehead, especially because we're in summer. This is the area that tends to break down the fastest, at least on me. And whatever's left on my brush, I'm going to then blend around the parameters of my face. So a little bit of a progress check. Off camera, I did a couple of things. I blended this tinted serum from L'Oreal with my damp beauty blender all over, and that went on very well over the gripping primer. Then I also decided to use that tinted serum with a L'Oreal concealer. This is the True Match Serum Concealer. I have the shade N2 Light, so I used that. And I also did set my under eye with the Loose Fit Me powder from Maybelline in the Fair Light shade. I used my little Sonia Kashuk Velour Puff to set that. I did not bake today because I want to kind of see how this gripping primer is going to work with a product that I do know wears well on me. And so what I did was, with the leftover powder on my puff, I just went through the T-zone. Again, as I mentioned earlier, that's the area that starts to break down the fastest on me, especially in this hot, warm days. That's where the oil starts to ramp up and produce more throughout the day. So I wanted to make sure that that area was locked in place. Moving on to bronzer, I have one of their Face Off bronzers. This is in the shade Sweet Tea. This is the Luminous Gel Bronzer. It's supposed to be hydrating, brightening, and buildable. I like the packaging. That squeeze tube is really nice and different. I also really enjoy the fact that they've provided a doe foot applicator with a kind of point to it. So you can really get in and apply this precisely where you want it. You can dot it, you can swipe it. I tend to work off of a makeup palette, but you can also use the back of your hand or go directly in with this product and dot it around. And I chose a shade that I felt like could work. I am gonna have to tread softly, unfortunately, for today's video with the bronzer, just because I'm already quite dark and I don't want my face to end up darker than the rest of my body. So I'm gonna use this, and I'm going to blend this in with my e.l.f. Complexion Duo brush. So I'm going to start with a tapping motion just to apply a very thin layer of this bronzer. I'm really not trying to add that much to my face just because the foundation is pretty close to my arms, my chest, and my neck. So adding a lot of bronzer is going to make my face darker than everything else. And so I'm just going to use a little bit of this, and it's blending in quite nicely actually, right over the foundation. Then I'm going to go over it again with my damp sponge just to make sure everything is well blended. Before moving on to the blushes, I do want to mention that the bronzer formula itself is described as a luminous bronzer, and there is a very subtle kind of sheen to it. You have to get really close to the mirror to be able to pick this up and see it. The camera is definitely not going to show you that, but you have to get really close, and it makes it look a little bit more skin-like, which I like. I don't really like my bronzers to be luminous and shimmery, so I can appreciate the fact that this is very, very low, the amount of sheen that's in there. So for me, it's fine, but I just want to mention that because if you like a more matte blush, then I would say just go ahead and skip it, but it's very minimal. And again, at a distance, you're not even going to be able to see that there's a sheen to it. But I do want to call that out and mention it to you in case you're curious about the formula. But now we get to do some blush. I did order one of their Face Off blushes, the original formula. These are the Luminous blush formulas. I picked up the shade Born yesterday, but then they launched some new blurring blushes, and I thought, why not? I only was initially going to purchase one shade, the lightest one, play it safe, but then I saw the others and I thought, why the heck not? Why not just buy all three of them so that I can try them out? So there's 3 different colors. This is the blurring blush formula. It says hydrating, blurring, and buildable on the back. The first shade, the lightest, is called Double Take. The brightest shade is called Hot Shot, and look, that looks like it's going to be really pretty. And then this one that is called Girl Crush looks to be a little bit more purple. Here's a swatch on my makeup palette of the blushes. So starting at the bottom, the lightest one is Double Take, Hot Shot, and Girl Crush. I'm going to start with the lightest shade. This one is the Double Take, and again, the component has the same feature as the liquid bronzer with that doe foot, so you can dot or stripe it on if you'd like. I'm going to work off of my makeup palette as I mentioned earlier. So I'm going to start with the lightest one and see how this looks and the level of pigmentation, and then maybe add one of the brighter shades just to see for fun what it looks like. So this shade, the Double Take, is really light, kind of like a pale kind of pink, and I thought, would it look a little too pastel once it's applied? But honestly, this looks really, really pretty, and I'm using a Profusion round tapered brush from Profusion to blend this in, and it's blending in really nicely, and you can actually see it. I didn't think that you would with my tan going on here, but you can actually still see this very light shade. So that is Double Take. I can see right through here. I don't know if the camera's gonna pick it up, but there is a little bit of lifting of my foundation, and maybe it's because I didn't set it. I don't know if that would have changed my results. So I'm going to try to add a little bit more right in that spot just to help kind of conceal the fact that that is a lifting a little bit. I'm just going to add the teensiest little bit of this bright shade, and it looks so pretty when you swatch it out. It looks really intense, and I'm going to do just the tiniest little bit just so I can show you 2 different shades. This Hot Shot definitely added more brightness to the cheek area, and I do feel like it is starting to be more of a lifted look to this area right in here. The more I blend, the more I add. So I'm not really thrilled with how this is sort of looking right now. Here's a look at the blushes blended in. I do think that they are starting to lift, so I'm not really thrilled about that. I think I have to try them maybe over foundation that has been set with some powder instead of going directly over foundation, because I didn't use setting powder on this outer part of my face, just through the T-zone. So I do think that I need to try them again to give you my official final thoughts on it. I do like the shades. I like how easy they were to blend, but I'm just not thrilled with the sort of lifting of the underneath foundation. So stay tuned, because I will be using those again, and you may see them in a future video that's drugstore content, because I do have other shades that I didn't get a chance to use because I can only use so many colors on my cheeks before it gets kind of crazy and looks a little wild. So we got to move on to the next products that I have that I really want to try. So part of the new launches from Hard Candy are these Moods liquid eyeshadows. So I picked up 2 shades. This one is Halo. The second one is called Cake. So this one is more of like a rosy kind of mauve tone. And the halo online looked a little bit lighter, more like a kind of ivory beige. But the tube in person looks to be a little bit more of a light yellowish tan shade. So I'm not quite thrilled with the way this looks. Now, applied, it could be a totally different story. But I do think that the inside color looks to match the outside, which I do like that aspect. That's a nice little detail there. But I also did pick up a couple other eyeshadow products. So I had to pick up some of their shadow sticks. I am a huge fan of shadow sticks, especially in the summer. I'm a big one and done kind of gal, and these just seem right up my alley. So I picked up a few shades. Cold Brew, which is kind of like a bronzy shade, of course. I had to pick that up. Pony, which is a more kind of purpley type of shade, and then this one here that is called Lights Out. I thought would be really nice to use for like an easy liner, just kind of quickly across the lash line and call it a day. So that's part of their line as well. These are not new releases, they're just new to me. And I also picked up one of their monochrome eyeshadow palettes. So this one is in the purse. So this one is the kind of purpley tones. We start the look off with this light shade right here. So right off the bat, that shade has quite a bit of pigment. And I also did prime my lids, by the way, off camera. I don't know if I mentioned that earlier, but I used my normal go-to primer that I know works and never fails me. So we're just gonna blend these shadows right over the primer. And this is very pigmented, but it's going on very easily. I'm gonna switch to a clean brush. This is one from ColourPop to help me blend out around the edges of this color. To incorporate some of those kind of purpley tones, I'm going to use the shadow stick in Pony on the lower lashes, just so that I can try as many formulas as possible and kind of give you my thoughts. And I usually like to draw these on directly from the shadow stick and then go in with a brush to soften and blend this out. So that is the Pony shade. That's actually really pretty. It's a little bit more of a kind of cooler purple shade with a little bit more of a grayish undertone, where this has a little bit more of a rosiness. So we're just gonna have to play around with some of these shades, maybe layer a few things, just so that it all looks cohesive and it doesn't look too wild. But I really wanted to try it out because I don't remember if I mentioned in the beginning of the video, I haven't used anything from Hard Candy. So I'm kind of curious for my own just kind of research if this is actually gonna work out. I think I'm gonna take the lightest shade all the way across the lid, and I'm using an e.l.f. eyeshadow brush, and I'm gonna pat this from inner corner to outer corner. And this color is so pretty. I really like this shade. This will be a really nice kind of one and done as well for a little bit of a lighter look. It's blending out quite nicely as well. It's got some pigment to it. It's easy to work with. And did I mention, I think that these were like $4 or $5 online. Super inexpensive. And they look to be great at blending. So I'm really happy about that. I'd like to change the way the under eye area looks. I'm not a fan of how Pony is looking with these kind of rosy purple shades. So what I'm going to do is add a little bit of the deeper shade in this palette with a small brush, just to deepen that and kind of tone down that kind of cool purple look that it has. And I hope that this is going to be the answer to that. And since we're already here with this palette, I figured why not use the last shade? Let's not leave the shadow just hanging on its own. Let's take this one that's a little bit more of a purpley kind of taupe and use this on the outer part of the lid. Well, that actually does have quite a bit of pigment. More pigment than I expected, and it's looking a little bit smokier than it does in the pan, right? That's really pretty. Just want to point out there is a lot of fallout right in this zone right here from that eyeshadow. I'm pretty sure it's that because this side doesn't have that. It's very minimal here, so I think it could be the dark shade, but on this side, I don't know if the camera's going to pick that up, but it's a lot of fallout. So I'm going to have to use a brush to kind of sweep this away a little bit. Hard Candy also has these new double-ended eyeliner pencils. These are the Power Couple pencils. So I picked up one shade. This has a more of a kind of bronzy copper, which I do like to use, especially in the summertime. I think that color is so flattering on pretty much every skin tone. And then on the opposite end, you have a really dark, rich brown color. It looks to be almost like a dark espresso type shade. So I think I'm going to try the darker end of this pencil to do a little bit of tight lining and a thin line, But if you have something like this, these shadow sticks, you can also use them. They make really easy eyeliner as well. So I want to try this formula out, so I'm going to go in with the eyeliner pencil. And that's actually going on very, very easily. Super creamy and very pigmented. The last step for the eye look today is mascara. So Hard Candy recently launched the Get a Grip Lash Primer, and they also launched a new mascara, Make It Double Mascara, which has a very interesting wand. So let's start with the primer. This lash primer actually has a blue tint to it. The wand also has an hourglass shape to it, as you can probably see from the up close shots. The wand itself is very flexible, and it's quite interesting, right, that the primer has a blue tint. There aren't many primers on the market that have a tint to it. There's a few, just a small handful that have a sort of black tint to it, which I think is ideal for a lash primer. But the majority of them are going to be white, and you have to let it dry, go over it with the mascara, and ensure that you cover every bit of that primer so that you don't see a white cast on your lashes. So I'm interested to see what this is going to do for my lashes, number one, and to see if I can actually still see this formula, this blue tint, after applying the mascara. So I'm going to start with the primer. I do think that this applicator is quite big. If I'm being honest, you can see the size of the wand compared to my eye. And I don't really see a whole lot of the primer coming off onto my lashes. And I'm getting it right there at the base, and I'm wiggling it at the root and kind of combing through till the end of my lash, and I don't really see a whole lot. So let's talk about the Make It Double Mascara. I have yet to use this, but the wand itself looks extremely interesting. It's like combining a plastic rubbery bristle with a traditional mascara wand, infusing the two together, because one side has the plastic bristles and then the other side has your traditional mascara wand bristles, which is very different. So you have some short ones, some long ones, some that are a little bit more spaced apart. So I think what I want to do is maybe try the traditional mascara side first and see if that deposits enough formula. Then maybe flip the wand over and use the plastic side that has more gaps in between each bristle to comb through and separate, and see what that does for my lashes. So I'm going to go in with this right over the primer. I feel like the primer has had some time to dry as well. And that's just one coat. So now let's flip it over and see if I can thicken the lashes, add some more length, see if this builds nicely upon itself. So I do think that it separates my lashes, but what I'm having an issue with is that when it separates my lashes, it's putting some gaps in between each separation. So it's almost like the mascara is gathering some lashes together, as you can probably see. It's gathering some lashes, and then there's like a gap, another kind of cluster of lashes, and then another gap. So I'm not really liking that. So I'm going to flip the brush back to the first side and see if I can break that up before it dries to create a more even kind of fanned out effect. So this side, I'm going to start with the plastic side of the wand and do that first, then flip over. So basically opposite of what I did on this side, and see if I have a different result. So right off the bat, I do feel like using the plastic side deposits a lot more formula to the lashes. And if you get this wand really close to your lash line, you will kind of feel the little rubber bristles kind of poking you because it's a little bit firmer. So it's a little bit uncomfortable if you do scrape your waterline with it. So I am not a fan of that, but I do think that I'm getting a little bit of a better result, right? On this side, a little bit more lift, right? Do you see that? So do you see a difference between this side and this other eye? Do you think that changing the method of application with the double-sided wand makes a difference with this side versus the first side that we tried, using the traditional mascara wand first, then the plastic bristle side? This is the plastic bristle followed by the traditional mascara side. So I'm just adding a little bit more mascara, not too much to overload this side, because this one to me didn't quite have the same effect as this side. So I do think that adding a little bit more definitely helped this eye look a little bit closer to this side. So what I'm going to do is take the traditional mascara side and use some of that for my lower lashes. So moving on to lips, this is the part that's exciting for me because I did pick up quite a few of their lip oils. So they have this really cute, fun packaging. It looks almost like a gumball on the top of this. Isn't that cute? It stands out, it's different, it's fun, it's whimsical. These had a lot of great ratings online. If you search them on the Walmart website, a lot of the reviews are super positive. And I've never tried the formula, and I've also, like I said before, never tried anything from Hard Candy. But part of their new launches is the lip slides. So these are the Glasstopia Lip Slide Creamy Lip Oils. I picked up 2 shades to try. This is Sugar Spin, which is kind of like a nudie brown shade. And then the Pink Play is, of course, a nice, pretty kind of pastel pink. I also picked up one of their lip liners, the Insta Pout liners. The shade that I have is called Kiss and Tell, but I think this color is not going to really vibe with the eye look. So we're going to reserve this for a different video. And the other lip product is one that I don't know what it's actually called. It's the shade Meet Cute, and I thought that was kind of neat. But it's one of those you have to kind of twist and click it up. So it's probably similar to like the Tarte Juicy Maracuja lip balms that are kind of buttery and shiny. So I want to try this, but I also really, really want to try the lip oils. So I think I'm going to go in, let's start with the pink shade. And this one is called Pink Play. Here is the new creamy lip oil in Pink Play, and it's not the right shade for this eye look. It has quite a bit of pigment. It's kind of like a pastel bubblegum pink shade. So a lot more pigmented than I expected, and I do think that this shade, for me personally, needs to be paired with a lip liner. But I wanted to show you some swatches, so this is Pink Play. And here is Sugar Spin. Out of the 2 shades from their newest launch, I think that the Sugar Spin shade is probably the best match for today's eye look. I was not expecting this pink one to be as bright and pastel and as pigmented as it was. I think going forward, this one for me personally needs to be paired with a lip liner to add a little bit more definition, just to create a little bit more depth, kind of ground that color a little bit better. The clear one I also ordered because I felt like this would be a shade that I could use with anything, and it's clear, it doesn't really alter the lip liner or lipstick that's put on underneath. And then the other ones, I picked up the Deep Desire and the Berry Divine. So I don't know, maybe we should try the purple shade and see. And this one has a bit of a very sweet kind of candy scent, while these ones have a more kind of vanilla. This one, the pink one, has more vanilla scent than the Sugar Spin one. But this one, I like the scent of these better. This one is more, just more candy-like. And it smells kind of like a gummy bear almost. And this is the Berry Desire. Maybe tap on top of that some of this shade here and see what that looks like. Just playing around with some colors. Ooh, this feels buttery. Does that make it better or worse? What I ended up trying off camera was a little bit of this lip liner. It went on pretty well with those lip oils on. I was able to see the color transfer from the product onto my lips, but I just don't like this kind of tone. I think it's a little too warm to go with this kind of cooler eye. So I tried to kind of blend it and remove as much as I could, but we're just gonna have to leave it here, unfortunately, because I don't have another lip product that would be better suited for this eye look. I just kind of started ordering and picking up different things without really thinking about the end result of the look. And I'm just here playing with makeup, so I feel like it's fine, it's whatever. So we're just gonna have to leave this lip on and just wear it for the rest of the day. And the last thing that I wanted to do is use a highlighter. They have the Face Off highlighter sticks. And I picked up one shade. This is called Champagne Breakfast. And look how cute. This has like a little heart in the center. And I'm just gonna tap this on. It also comes with a brush as well. So I'm gonna just tap this on just on the high points of my cheekbone. So as you can see, when I turn my face and angle it, it looks very illuminated, very bright, very dewy. This does have a bit more of a balmy texture. So if you're not into that formula, I would say pass on this. But I do like the color. I like the cool tones of it, and I feel like it's very complementary to my fair skin. Even though I do have a tan right now, my normal skin tone is very fair. So what I'm gonna do is take a brush, and I'm going to just kind of pat right over this just to blend it a little bit more. And that is it. That completes my full face, almost full face of Hard Candy makeup. I actually had some fun today doing a look with some of these products. These are all new to me. new launches for the brand, but all of these are new to me. Believe it or not, I have not used anything from Hard Candy. So I want to say thank you to those of you who requested this brand, because this was actually very fun and a pleasant surprise to be able to find some products that I can see myself using again in future videos, and also on my personal time when I do my makeup, that are very affordable prices and actually good formulas. So yay for that. I have some new products to continue playing around with, and you'll see some of these again in future videos. Let me know what your favorite Hard Candy products are. What are your favorite recommendations from this line? What are your favorite drugstore products? I'd love to hear from you. Let's chat. Let's talk in the comment section down below this video. You can also subscribe for more videos like this in the future, and follow me on Instagram. It's always here. We can be friends there. I hope to connect with you there. Take care, you guys, and we'll talk soon. Bye-bye.